Hello. So today we are going to be discussing the Divergent series. We're not going to discuss the whole series in this video, but we are going to be talking about part one. And there's different parts of it, but just part one today. We're going to talk about the book and the movie. We're going to compare the two. We are also going to speak about what it is. I'm going to look at it from a biblical view, and we're also going to look at it from a world standpoint. We'll talk about my opinion and how I feel. And if you don't agree with me, then I don't know what to tell you, but that sucks. Anyways, so little quick summary. The Divergent is about a dystopian world, and basically they are separated into 5 different groups. The 5 groups are Abnegation, Amity, Candor, Dauntless, and Erudite. So these groups have different roles, and they all come together. They all supposed to come together and make a society, but they're really split up, right? So the movie follows a girl. Her name is Beatrice. She grew up in the erudite faction, and she I don't know if I mentioned it, but the groups are called factions. She grew up in the erudite faction, and she basically when you come of age, you take a test, and when you take the test, you have to it basically tells you where you're going. You don't stay where or sometimes you do, but sometimes you're set apart and you have to go to a different faction when you come of age. Basically, there are certain type of people called divergents who are different. And instead of being just grounded to one, they end up having all the not requirements, but they all end up having the all 5 of the attitudes of the factions, I guess you should say. So she ends up having 5 and Divergent. Now we see later on in the story that Divergent is a threat to the world. They see them as they don't want nobody special. They wanna control. And especially the ones that actually want to control are the erudites. The erudites are the intelligent people. So Triss goes through a lot of struggles because she doesn't know what she is. She doesn't know how is it that she's supposed to fit in. She ends up going to Dauntless, which are the police of this world, and she ends up finding her role there. She finds love and all that extra stuff, She goes through a lot of stuff, a lot of identity issues, not in the way you're thinking I'm talking about, just trying to find out who she is in this world, her place, and what can she provide. Triss as a character, I will say I do like her character development. I can tell from the beginning of both the book and the movie how she changes and how she ends up becoming this strong and independent young lady. I think she's always had that fire in her. If you read the book or watch the movie, in the beginning, you can see that when you get to Dauntless, it's a tough trial. They test your limits. They test what are you willing to risk and sacrifice to stay. So one of the tests was being able to jump off of a building and just having faith and trusting. You can't see nothing; it's pitch black. But at the end, there is a net, and you have to just jump, and they test your bravery, and she does it. So right there, we see that Triss is a resilient character, and she's trying to find her place, and she doesn't really know what to do, but she's stuck with this faction because she chose it. She ends up falling for one of the guys that's there, the so-called leaders, who we end up finding out later he is divergent as well. And it's really I think that story was a good mix, but it was also a little corny, I'm not gonna lie. But I think we need to also remember that this is, it's fictional and it's a movie, but there are a lot of aspects in here that they connect to our real world, and we're gonna get into that in a second. But I just want to throw that idea out there so we can have that in the back of our minds. So basically, Trish goes through the entire movie, and she, or book, movie, whatever, she goes through, and she ends up finding a place, whatever. And basically, at the end, we find out that Everyday has been trying to control people because they know that Divergents are among them, and they don't want that. They don't want nobody like outsiders. They want to have control of everybody. So they use this chip. It's not a chip. It's like a serum where you inject it, and it basically manipulates your mind, and it makes you. It allows you to be like easier to command. So if I command you to do something, you are easily like persuaded. So, she ends up they end up like breaking the system, and she ends up like fighting them off and doing all that. Whatever. So now, looking at the book and the movie. Tris in the book is I think first things first, let's remember that a book is always gonna have more detail than a movie, no matter what, regardless. The book is, it's a book, more words, more pages, and all that. I think the movie does a good job with translating whatever the book says into its, into the movie. The movie's gonna give you more of that passionate side, and I'm not saying that the book can't give you that, but I think for some people, that visual side, the way that you can see it instead of envisioning it, because some people have a trouble, like me personally, I have trouble with that because I'm not a reader, but I think the movie does do a pretty good job with translating that emotional aspect and the thrill of the movie and all of that into it, and the storyline, I think it's a great storyline. I'm not gonna knock that. Certain things from the movie were changed from the book, like there's a test that she has to take, and I don't know if I mentioned this, but there's a test she has to take, and the test is with the dog. Whether you give it meat or you give it you have a weapon, you have to fight it off. That was a test. I'm pretty sure in the movie they changed it, and it was like a block of cheese or something like that. But it's little stuff like that they just changed. I don't notice too much of a huge difference. Maybe in certain characters. I think you see in certain characters, like certain characters are not the exact way that they are in the book, but that happens. You gotta make budgets and just certain things, whatever. So let's talk about how this is translated into our real life. I think that this book is, I'm gonna be honest, it's not too far from our real life. You gotta think about like the way that if you watch it, you gotta look at like Ariel Day was kind of act as a government, right? They were a government system. They were the smart guys. They were the government for this they were running this operation, but they were twisted, right? So I look at this and I look at our world and I look at certain things. I mean, they were trying to, the big thing of this movie, the big plot was that they were trying to mind control. They were trying to mind control to make people do whatever they wanted, right? So I look at it as let's go back to COVID, right? Now COVID, right, we started off with the mask. The mask was our key card. That's what we needed. We'd have the mask. We couldn't go eat nowhere. We couldn't go outside. We can do a lot of things that's just a lot of things that we were able to do. We could do them because of we couldn't do them because of the simple fact that we didn't have a mask. Then they upgraded, right? They upgraded to the vaccine, right? You ain't have the COVID vaccine. You're not getting in anywhere, right? Right? So I look at it, right? I'm like, that sounds really familiar. Let's talk about Mark of the Beast, 666, right? In Revelations 13:18, it says, This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. The Bible talks about how later on in life, after everything, there will be a mark of the beast, and that will be how you eat, how you buy things, how you go places. That will be it. And it's funny because in the book, right, it talks about the serum, and that's what you need. Is you need that serum because they're mind controlling you so that you can follow their command and do what they want. This is what I like to call predictive programming. Predictive programming is basically when it's a theory, but I believe that it's true, and I'm going to explain to you why. It's basically when the government or the higher up people, right, they're using fictional movies or books to mind control you, and so that you can basically, like, it's accepted, so that when it happens, like, it's planning for future events, so that when it happens, it's not so brand new and you're already accustomed to it. Think about it, right? We all seen The Simpsons. I'm just saying, a lot of the stuff that they predicted, it's happened. Coincidence? I think not. But hey, just something to think about. And yeah, so I just look at it like that, and I don't know, man. But the Bible does talk about this, and it talks about how, I mean, you gotta think about where are they getting these stories from. You read the Bible and you look at a lot of these movies and stories, such as Divergent. It all ties in. It's a conversation for another day. Now, to wrap this up, my final opinion, did I like this? I didn't. I'm not gonna lie, I did not. I thought it was a little corny. I thought it was, it was a little weird. Now, I do appreciate this standpoint as to which they're looking at it, and I think it's replicates to the real world that we're living in. And I don't think we're too far off of that, which it sucks to say, but that's what it is. Even, like, look at the high, middle, and lower class people, or like rich people, whatever, right? They're separating us. That's what it is. And they're making it even harder and harder with this inflation and all that. So it's just a lot, But yeah, I didn't like the book just because I thought it was corny. I thought Trish was not, or the movie. I didn't like it either. I thought Trish was not a great character for me. It's personal. I thought she was, like, kind of dumb. I thought 4 was like who are you feeling like? I don't know, but that's just me. I just didn't like the characters. I thought the storyline was great. I'll say that. I thought the storyline was great. I thought that I just didn't like the characters and how they were portrayed. But yeah, stay woke, my friends. I will see you guys later.